Hello, welcome to my channel and welcome to my website. My name is Daryl and this is Programming in Any Language. The website is www.black-duck.com. It's where you'll find all my videos organized in logical order. There's a lot more to arrays, but right now we have learned enough to build a sophisticated application. This one is called the Password Keeper. It does just what it says. It keeps your passwords for you. Basically, via an add function, the program allows you to enter a company or a website name, along with your login ID and password. It then stores that information on disk. But it goes beyond that. Its search mechanism lets you locate the website or company you're interested in and returns your login ID and password. The delete function lets you totally remove a record. The edit function lets you make changes to the company name, login ID, and password. And you can easily add other fields to this application if you're interested, like notes. There's no security on this application. We just aren't there yet. But in the future, I'll show you how to encrypt your data and password protect your program. For now, this is just a useful application that will let you gain experience with panels, arrays, list boxes, binary search, sorting, and more. In fact, one thing you'll learn doing this application is how to analyze the problem and solve it. I'll step you through the process of determining what you know and what you don't know about this application. This in turn will help us discover just what it is we are missing to make the application work. Enough talk. Let's take a look at the following video. It's the analysis piece. We're going to build an application to keep track of our passwords. You can get applications like this for your phone, for your computer. There's a lot of them out there, a lot of competing products out there. But we have enough knowledge now in programming to be able to actually create these things ourselves. We won't necessarily put in the pieces where it's going to encrypt our data. We'll do that maybe down the road someplace when we finally cover that stuff. But to create an application where you can type in a company name, your login ID, and your password, and begin to save these things so you can later on bring it back and make a change to it or delete it or sort them and find out what your password is, what it was back then when you created it. That's fairly easy to do. It's a sophisticated program, but it's amazingly simple when you start taking the thing and putting it in pieces. Now that's the big difficulty here, is we need to be able to design this project, and that's where people I think get stuck, because initially, how do you go about this? Well, what I've got in front of me is a Word document. Now, right now, I'm just going to throw I'll call it Password Keeper, we'll call it. WRD Keeper. That's probably a good name for it. And we'll make that bold and increase a little bit in size and, put out in the center someplace so it's centered. And then go back down to here and get back to what we actually want to do. Well, we want to do a couple things here. We want to be able to figure out what we're actually going at. And the thing we want to ask is, well, what do we want to know? And so by typing that in, what we want to know. This is an important piece. We also want to know then, what do we know now? And then finally, we want to look at, well, how do we get there? Now, you may puzzle about this for some time, trying to figure out what you're actually going to be asking it, or what you're going to be able to, what you actually want to figure out. And I think this is where a lot of people struggle, is they, my God, what do we got to know? What do we have to put down? How do I make this thing right? This is scrap paper. This is just kind of getting your ideas down so you got something to go on. We're going to expand this and make it graphical a little bit too. But what do we want to know? Well, we want to keep all our passwords safe and available. So keep passwords safe and available. Anything else we want to do? I don't know. Right now, I think this is probably all we want to really do with this. We want a program that will actually do this. Probably should end it with a period. Or Word kind of yells at you. What do we know? Well, we know that we have passwords. We know that we have a login ID, which we want to save, and the name of the site or company, whatever. Amazon. my name is login ID, my password of Amazon 234 or something like that. Is things we're gonna know that kind of stuff. Well, how do we get there? Well, we'll just jump down here a second and take the bold off of this and kind of change our font here to a 12 and lay it in there. That what we like to do, we like the ability to add new password or a new record, the ability to edit existing passwords. And by that, I'm talking about the company name and everything else we might have in there. I'm going to shorten this a little bit so we can kind of get it up in here. The ability to delete passwords. Ability to save records. What good is if you can't save it, right? And the ability to load records. That's pretty much what we want to do for our application. Is there anything else in there we're going to be working with? Well, it's going to get more complicated, yeah. But all in all, this is probably a good starting point for what we're actually trying to do and where we're trying to go with this. So what do we do next? Probably be a good idea to develop some kind of a hierarchy chart. What's that? Well, it's not scary. It's again, it's scrap paper. It's something that kind of gives us an idea of what we need to do to make this work, and it helps us point out where the methods might be, where the buttons might be in our program. We haven't developed it yet. This is kind of telling us right here what our input might be or what our output might be, the functionality what we're going to be doing, and stuff like that. So it gives us some ideas on what our program is going to look like. This will all get tossed to the wayside down the road, but that's it. Let's go ahead and bring up a flowcharting application, make this somewhat straightforward and simple. Well, not simple, but neat, I guess, instead of using pencil. I'm going to go ahead and develop a new one. Kind of put this off to the side. I might want to refer to this thing on occasion just to kind of get back there where we're going, but this is kind of what I want to do and put it there. Well, what are we going to do for this thing? Well, it's going to be called Password Keeper, for lack of another name. So let's go ahead and get a text box up there, and we've got one right here. We'll just call this thing Password Keeper. And pop it in there. Let's go ahead and change the font on this thing. Kind of make it 19.5 is fine. We'll bold it. Stretch it out, and we don't have a name on there, so we can put our name up here someplace. So we at least have a title. What are we going to do with this thing? Well, we're going to be doing some processing of some kind. So we're going to put a process up there, and one of them is going to be the exit. We want to be able to get out of the program. So that's going to exist. We said we wanted to add, edit, delete, save, and load records. So we kind of want to do all that stuff, and we certainly want to search. We did show that, right? Yeah, we're going to look things up. So I actually want to kind of create a search here. A bunch more of these things. This one will be an add. We're going to have an edit. We want to delete. We need to save. Yeah, let's kind of put this together. I'm thinking exit will go over here someplace. Search will be over here. We want to do an add. We'd like to do a delete. We'd like to do an edit. And we'd like to do a save. I'll just leave. I'm not going to exactly get real pretty with them just now. I just want to get the ideas on. I also want to think about this thing. When you start thinking about it, if we're going to have this application, it's going to have, well, let's go here. It's going to have a start of the program. It's going to have an end of the program someplace. It's going to have some kind of data out here. It's going to have its data that we're going to save and put on in a text file. Data, call this a text file. It's going to actually have the processing block in here. We're going to have some input coming in. So we're going to be able to key into this thing. We can probably put some arrows on this right now, just to kind of get an idea what it might be. And again, I'm not going to be real perfect with this thing. We're going to have manual input coming into the process. This is not bad. Grab this arrow and make a copy of him. And this time we're going to put him up here and bring it down here. Take another one of these, put it right here, and bring this up. And let's put this one over here. Actually, I want to make a change to this. I want to actually make this a double arrow. Because the data is going to come in and it's going to come out. We're going to want to save data on this thing. So that's pretty much what our application is going to look like. It's not going to be very, very complex. So we'll start with some processing here. Manual input's going to come in. Text file is going to be over here, and in the program. So basically, we've got some interaction going on here, and that's sufficiently it. I want to actually save this guy. I'm going to go ahead and do a save as. You go to 1 after in case I screw something up. I want to do this all over again. But that's our system. That's what it's going to look like. Put the name up here too, so it's there. Go back to our page 1. And let's, when we start looking at this, we want to be able to bring this data in as soon as we start the program up. So we're going to have data in here. Now, we won't have any initially, but we will eventually. So we'll be adding passwords, login IDs, stuff of that nature. We'll be going home, we'll come back, we'll turn on our program, and we want it to load that data right away. So I probably want to do this inside form load. So I think what I'm going to have is I'm going to have a form load procedure as well. So one more of these guys, and we'll call this thing form load. That's how I kind of want to have it. I'm going to want to set up an array to keep this stuff. So we're probably going to set up an array. I want to load that sorted file to the array. We certainly want to do that. Sorted file to array, interesting. Put an S on here. Load sorted files to array. So we're going to have to sort the file someplace. We're going to display a count too. I think we're going to have that. We don't know how many records we've got on our screen, so we certainly want to do that. That makes you wonder back here, do we need to upgrade this? How do we get there? What do we know? What do we want to know? Yeah, we'd like to know how many records. How many records? We'd like to know that, so that's something we'll put in there. I'm going to save this thing too. Save as. Put it like that. That puts it in place. So we've got it there. We'd like to do our search. We're going to be entering search criteria, so we want to do that. Perform a search, we want to do that. We're probably using our binary searching capabilities there. And we'd like to display the records. So display the record then, once we have our... when we do a search and we're in the middle of this thing, we don't want to do anything else. So we probably want to be able to, perhaps, we'll just throw this down here. We'd like to maybe disable buttons. Not all. And then we can enable them down here when we're all done with our search. Because we don't, once the search is going on, we want to, that's all we want to be able to do. Put this down here. And this will be an enable. That puts that in place. Adding, we want to be able to turn off buttons too, so we want to kind of disable other buttons as well. We want to do something like that. So we'll do a Control-C, put this over here. We're going to want to do that. Maybe this could be the same method we're going to be using for all of them. We want to be able to set the focus to the text box. And we want to be able to either cancel the operation or add a record to the list. Add new record. Then, of course, we'd like to enable the buttons again. I haven't drawn any arrows yet. We need to kind of put that in place so we can get that all popped in here. Add new record. We want to sort the records then. So once we've added it, it's going to be at the bottom. It's going to be the back of the pie. We'd like to have it in front, so we're going to be able to sort the records. Now, understand, we might not do it this way. We might actually make some modification. Probably will, but it's something to go on as we're doing this stuff. We'll display our count because we've added a record, and then we want to be able to enable buttons here too. Okay, and then let's move this step over, make ourselves some more room here. So we've got it. We have a delete function we want to be able to have here. We want to be able to remove the selected record. And then display the count. Do I know I'm going to do this yet? No, I don't. But I know it has to be done. So this stuff is stuff that I want to have an idea. It's kind of a checklist that we're going to have to put the stuff in our program to make this thing work. For editing, we're going to kind of disable buttons again. We're going to change the selected record. And here we're going to have a cancel operation, which is going to require us to enable the buttons again. Or we're going to update the record. Change select record, update record. This might require a sort because we might change the ID that we have it sorted by. Don't know. We'll display a count, enable the buttons. And for our save, we want to be able to write to the file. Now let's make this look pretty so we kind of figure out what we're actually doing here. First thing I want to do, I think, is kind of figure out, let's go down maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put an arrow in here. And let's go up and expand our 220 so we can see this thing. That looks like it looks perfectly straight, actually. It looks pretty good. Okay, so let's do that. Back down to 130. And we're going to kind of do that for this too. We're going to go up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one's going to go up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's probably pretty good. Do a Control C, Control V. This kind of takes some time, but it's worth it because when you get your program working and you're trying to follow this thing, it's a little clearer to have something that at least has a semblance of order to it. And we're looking good. Pretty much got it in place here. So we've got our pieces there. So there's our flow chart. Save it. So that kind of gives us a rough idea of what we want, what we're looking for, what we're trying to go to. And we'll take this now and we'll use this to create our form. And we may modify this. This will be a guideline so we can use this thing to kind of modify or to create our form. And as we run into changes or things that we see are obvious that we need to change, to rework, we can update this password keeper's hierarchy chart so we kind of see what we're going at. So that's what this thing kind of looks like right now. Okay, let's get started with our form. We've got that hierarchy chart, which is going to help us a ton because it's kind of identified what our buttons are going to be. So we at least get started on our form. And our Word document has some pieces of what are going to be the input and the output, things of that nature are going to help us there. Probably not so much right now. Initially, we want to get our form started so we can figure out and plan what we're going to do next. So what you see in front of you right now is basically a new program, Password Keeper Demo 1, I'm calling it. And the first thing I want to do is go ahead and open my common controls and put some buttons on there. Because basically I want to put on the form what the hierarchy chart's buttons represent. I want to actually go to my properties and change this to exit. And I'm going to make it button exit. And I'm going to change the font on this thing to be 10. Yeah, we'll make it bold. And we'll keep that consistent throughout. We'll change our size of our button a little bit too, so it can represent all the other things we're going to have. Now, I know I've got a number of buttons I actually want to put on here. I certainly want to do let's go ahead and do a copy in this thing, Control C. And I want to do a search. I want to do an add. I want to do a delete. I want to do an edit. And I want to do a save. So we've got those pieces in there. So I'm just kind of structure them out here, put them in place, and create each one of them. Then I'll line them up in a second here. So the first one's going to be, this will be my search. And it'll be button search. This one will be button add. And we'll give it the add name. This one will be delete. So we'll say delete on here. And I'm going to give this one an edit. BTN-EDIT. And we'll just call it edit. And finally, we're going to have our save. And we'll call it button save. And we'll kind of arrange those guys as best we can. I think what we can do is probably take them all here and do a format on them and align their tops, and then do a format and make their horizontal spacing equal, or equal. They're going to go off the screen a little bit. And we can kind of modify our form now to represent that, and then grab these guys again and kind of place them towards the bottom of the form where we're going to be working with this somewhat. Under the add, we're going to have a cancel and update, because we're going to go into an add form, and we're going to be able to do an add routine. And if we get into it, we may not want to complete it, so we might want to put cancel in here, and we might want to put in update. And what are we going to call these guys then? Now, this will probably become a button cancel, or we'll call it button BTN cancel add, because we've got a couple of them in there. And this one will be button BTN update add. And we can take those two guys right here and replicate them again. Did I get them all? And whoops. Well, I can adjust their size in a second anyway. That's not a problem. I'll put this one right here. And this is going to be button cancel edit. And this will be button update edit. And let's go ahead and copy them all again. Make sure they're all the same size. I don't want cancel to be he's too large. Maybe I can just do that by hitting another button here. That does it. Okay. And I can do that format, make same size. Both. And now they're all the same size. These guys right here, I want to align their tops so they're in good shape. I want to take this and kind of align the left. Same with this one, and this one, and this one, and just drop them down. Eventually the cancel and update buttons will be invisible, and they'll also be hiding underneath the add buttons and the delete button, the edit and the save, so they won't be seen. They'll only appear when we hit add or we hit edit, so we can make the decision whether they're canceling or updating. At least that's how we're thinking we're going to run it right now. This puts our functionality in place, so now we can kind of look at this thing and decide how we're going to actually write the program for it. I might think about doing a search first. We're going to need some kind of a format up here to actually put the criteria we're going to need up there. Same thing with add. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to probably put up a couple of text boxes to enter company name, login ID, login password. Delete is going to have to maybe do a search thing so we can bring up what's already out there and then click on an item and then delete it. The edit is going to look kind of like the add. It's going to have things up there, except it's going to be filled, and you'll be able to make changes to the record. The save, it's a button that will simply, before we exit, we'll save out and then get out of that. And we might change that concept too as we go forward and start to build this thing. So again, what we've done so far is we've kind of built ourselves a system chart, a hierarchy chart, a Word document with information about how we're going to do our form. We got started on the form so we get an idea of what it's going to look like. And now we're going to get into the actual piece of trying to develop what it should look like by using all these tools we've created to create something that's going to work and look good. So that's where we stand right now. This video is actually longer than I anticipated. However, when a lot of time is given to the analysis and design of an application, the smoother the actual creation goes. In the next video, we'll get to exercise our creative juices and design the form and the various functions that need to be designed as well. And we'll use the tools we developed in this video to make that happen. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to use the website for easy access to all my videos. And if you get a chance, please subscribe. That way, you'll be notified when something new is available. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.